8x squared plus 10x plus 3. So we got to factor this, and the first thing we should notice is that there is no greatest common factor. There's no number that goes into 8, 10, and 3, and there's no variable in all three terms. So that's a big difference. So we had the AM method before, and so we're kind of doing, this is like a nasty AM method we're doing now. And it's called decomposition. And decomposition is when you can't factor the number attached to the squared term out. So if I could factor that x8 out, then I would just use the AM method. But here we're going to use decomposition, and it's because I can't factor that 8 out of all three terms. First step of decomposition is I always multiply the outside terms together. So in this case, that's 8 times 3 is 24. And then I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 24 but add to 10. So when you're doing this, just like AM before, think about the multiples of 24 first. And then you go, oh, okay, 1 and 24 doesn't add to 10. 2 and 12 doesn't add to 10. 3 and 8 adds to 11, it's close. 4 and 6, oh, it's 6 and 4, because 6 plus 4 is 10. So basically, what happens in decomposition is that 10x, that 6 plus 4, we actually rewrite the whole thing. The 8x squared and the 3 stay the same, but in the middle, we break 10x into 6x plus 4x. So 6x plus 4x equals 10, so this is still the same thing. Then the next step of decomposition, so that's our first step, is to break that 10x, whatever's in the middle, breaks into our two numbers. Then we go, well, what's the GCF of the first two terms? So the 8x squared and the 6x. What could I factor out of those two? And I can factor 2x out of both of those. So then we look at the 4x and the 3 and go, well, what can we factor out of 4x and 3? Well, the only thing that comes out of 4x and 3 is 1. So I'm going to factor 1 out of 4x and 3. So remember, to factor the 2x out of those first two terms, we're just dividing them both by 2x. So 8x squared divided by 2x is 4x, 6x divided by 2x is 3. And now divide 4x and 3 both by 1 to factor the 1 out. So 4x divided by 1 is 4x, plus 3 divided by 1 is 3. So now we factored out the GCF out of the first two terms and the GCF out of the last two terms. Now 4x plus 3 is actually a GCF for this whole thing. It's a binomial common factor. So I'm going to pull that 4x plus 3 out of everything, and then all that's left is 2x plus 1. And that is our answer. So factored, this is 4x plus 3 times 2x plus 1. If you want to check this, you can always FOIL this out and you'll get to 8x squared plus 10x plus 3. And always remember, it's never a bad idea to check in this way. So you can always check when you factor by expanding and then seeing that you got what you started with.